Welcome to the Stoic Golden Tribe, where enduring wisdom meets the strength of presence, and where we uncover the truths modern society refuses to teach men. In a world obsessed with surface-level attention, fake validation, and temporary highs, you are on a different path. You're not here to be liked. You're here to be respected. You're not trying to impress women with words. You're learning how to move through the world with such grounded power that women can't help but notice you. Let's be clear, this video isn't about games or gimmicks. This is about real transformation, the kind of change that happens in silence, when you wake up early to train your body, when you choose discipline over distraction, when you stop chasing love and instead become a man who radiates it, and when you walk that path consistently, something powerful starts to shift. People feel your presence without you having to say a word. Your energy walks into a room before you do. And women, they don't just see you, they feel you. You stop being an option and start becoming a standard. As the ancient samurai saying goes, a warrior does not become powerful through the sword, he becomes powerful by mastering the self. And that's exactly what we're here to uncover today. 9 brutally honest signs that you're no longer the boy the world overlooks, you're becoming the man women can't ignore. These signs may sting, some may challenge you, but all of them are grounded in truth, experience, and the kind of wisdom society rarely teaches anymore. If you're on this journey, if you're tired of living below your potential and ready to rise, then you're not alone. You're part of a brotherhood, you're part of the Stoic Golden Tribe. So before we dive into the first chapter, like this video, if you're on the path of real masculinity, subscribe to join a community that values honor, strength, and wisdom. Share this with a brother who needs to rise up. And drop a comment below telling us which sign resonates with your current season in life. Your words may be the spark that helps another man rise. Now let's dive in. Chapter 1. You don't chase, you attract. There's a moment in every man's evolution when he realizes chasing is weakness. Not because desire is wrong, but because desperation drains power. The man who constantly seeks validation becomes invisible. The man who builds value becomes magnetic. You don't become irresistible by running after women. You become irresistible by running after purpose. Let's be honest. Many of us were taught that if you like a woman, you should show her affection, pursue her endlessly, and prove you're worthy of her time. But here's the harsh truth. What is easily available is rarely valued. And when a man's attention is scattered and needy, it loses weight. It becomes noise, forgettable, replaceable. But the moment you stop chasing, you begin to reclaim your gravity. Women sense it. The difference is subtle but powerful. You're no longer broadcasting, "I need you," but rather, "I am complete, with or without you." That shift alone changes everything. Imagine 2 men in a room. Both are attractive. One keeps scanning the space, constantly checking who's watching him, trying to start conversations, throwing compliments everywhere like confetti. The other? He's focused, calm, engaged in his purpose. Maybe he's talking with a friend about a business venture. Maybe he's sipping his drink slowly, observing, not needing to prove anything. Guess which one women are drawn to? Not the loudest, not the flashiest, but the one who doesn't need attention to feel valuable. Women are biologically wired to be drawn towards security, certainty, and self-possession. A man who walks like he owns his path, who doesn't look to others for permission, is dangerously attractive. Not because of what he says, but because of what he doesn't have to say. The Chinese philosopher Lao Tzu wrote, "The best man is like water. He benefits all things yet does not compete." What does this mean in modern terms? It means the strongest man is not the loudest pursuer, but the one who flows where he needs to be. He isn't forcing connections, he isn't begging for time, he simply exists in his lane and lets others come to him. Water nourishes by presence, not pressure. In the same way, your energy as a man must be anchored. Let your ambition be loud, but your presence be calm. Speak with your results, move with direction, and let people, especially women, lean in because they sense something rare in you, stillness in a chaotic world. Stop chasing the wrong things and the right things will find you. Every day you spend chasing someone else's approval, you abandon a piece of your own power. But every day you choose discipline, clarity, and peace, the universe starts responding differently. People start noticing, opportunities begin aligning, and yes, women start showing up. Not because you're asking for it, but because you've finally become undeniable. Here's a psychological key. When you stop putting energy into pursuit and start putting that same energy into improving your body, building your income, deepening your peace, and strengthening your masculine frame, the entire dynamic flips. You're no longer chasing, you're creating gravity. That doesn't mean you avoid women. It means you're no longer moved by need. You don't wait by the phone. You don't wonder if she's thinking of you. You know who you are, and whether she joins your journey is up to her. You're already moving forward. Here's the irony. Once you start building yourself, women start chasing you. Not all of them, but the right ones. Because healthy feminine women are drawn to strong masculine energy. Not the masculine performance, but the authentic embodiment. The man who stands in his frame. The man who leads his life without apology. The man who isn't looking for rescue, recognition, or reward. She doesn't see you as an option. She sees you as a foundation. And let's be brutally honest, the more you chase, the more invisible you become. The more you attract, the more powerful you feel, and the more desirable you appear. If this chapter hit you in the gut, good. That means something is waking up inside of you. You're no longer playing the game that leaves men bitter and broken. You're building a presence that turns heads, not because you're loud, but because your energy speaks for you. You don't chase anymore, you attract. Comment below, have you stopped chasing and started focusing on yourself? Let us know where you are in your journey. Chapter 2. You're no longer emotionally reactive. You've mastered your response. There's a rare kind of power that comes not from how loud you are, but from how calm you remain when the world tries to shake you. When a man reaches a certain level of maturity, he doesn't explode when insulted, he doesn't crumble under pressure, and he doesn't let the chaos of others pull him off his center. Instead, he becomes anchored, grounded, steady. That's when you know you're evolving. Because while boys react, men respond. There's a difference, and it's everything. But the weakness of emotional reactivity. In your younger years, maybe you let your emotions lead you like wild horses. You got angry easily. You argued to be right. You fell into emotional traps, especially in relationships. Maybe a woman tested you, pulled back, said something disrespectful, and you lashed out or became desperate to win her back. Sound familiar? That's what emotional reactivity does. It steals your power and puts it in the hands of someone else. But the moment you stop reacting and start responding with purpose, you send a clear message. My emotions serve me. I don't serve them. Let's say a woman suddenly pulls back emotionally. Most guys panic. They double text. They over-explain. They beg for reassurance. But the man who has mastered his response, he does nothing out of fear. He pauses, he thinks, he reflects. And if he decides to say something, it's clear, calm, and rooted in strength, not emotion. Women test men not to break them, but to see what's underneath the surface. Is he just pretending to be strong, or is he truly unshakable? If you respond from emotion, she feels your insecurity. If you respond from stillness, she feels your depth. And that changes everything. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." In other words, you don't control the world. You can't control how people behave, how women respond, or what storms come your way. But you do control one thing, your response. That is your power. That is your edge. That is your freedom. The Stoics weren't emotionless. They were emotionally disciplined. They trained themselves to pause before reacting, to choose their response instead of letting the world choose it for them. You must do the same. A man who cannot control his emotions is a slave, no matter how rich or intelligent he may be. Let that hit. You could have money, muscles, and success, but if you explode in rage, break down from rejection, or fold when life tests you, you're not leading your life. You're being led by your emotions. Emotional mastery is what separates real men from those pretending to be strong. It's not about suppression, it's about direction. Anger, fear, sadness, these are natural. But when they start leading your decisions, your power fades. When you lead them, you become unstoppable. Here's a practical skill to build emotional strength. Pause before you respond. Whether it's a disrespectful comment, a stressful situation, or a woman testing your patience, pause, breathe. Let the emotion rise without acting on it immediately. This simple act rewires your nervous system. It teaches you to observe instead of react. It separates instinct from intention, and that 1 second pause can save relationships, build respect, and keep you in control. Don't underestimate it. Great men are not built by what they say in calm moments, but by what they choose to say in the storm. You ever notice how women talk about the mysterious guy? The one who doesn't get rattled, doesn't respond to every little drama, doesn't chase after every shift in mood? That's not mystery, it's emotional discipline. It makes you magnetic. Why? Because it's rare. Most people, especially in today's culture, are addicted to emotional outbursts. Online, in relationships, in conflict. Everyone wants to speak first, feel first, act first. But the man who can sit in silence, assess, and respond with precision, he stands out, he commands respect. Not just from women, but from other men too. That's the man who becomes the center of the room, not just a part of the crowd. If you've noticed yourself becoming quieter in arguments, less reactive to chaos, more focused under pressure, that's not weakness, that's evolution. You're learning to lead yourself first. And that's the greatest form of leadership there is. It's the foundation of masculine power. Because the man who can command himself can command any room. Remember, you're no longer the guy who explodes, panics, or begs. You're the one who watches, waits, and chooses with clarity. That is the man women cannot ignore. That is the man the world respects. That is who you're becoming. Comment below. Have you mastered the pause? Tell us how you stay calm when things get intense. Chapter 3. You walk away from what doesn't serve you. One of the hardest, most brutal signs that you're leveling up as a man is that you walk away. Not out of weakness, not because you don't care, but because you finally understand that your peace, your energy, and your purpose are too valuable to waste. You stop trying to fix people who refuse to grow. You stop holding on to relationships built on drama, manipulation, or comfort. You stop settling for jobs, friendships, and situations that drain your soul. Why? Because now you know who you are. And when a man knows who he is, he walks away from anything that doesn't match that identity. The illusion of staying loyal to suffering. We've all been there. You stay too long in a relationship because of history. You stay in a circle of friends because you don't want to be alone. You keep giving chances to a woman who brings more stress than peace. You keep shrinking yourself for a boss who doesn't value you. And you tell yourself, I'm just being loyal. I'm just being patient. I'm just trying to make it work. But here's the truth. Loyalty to dysfunction is self-betrayal. When you hold on to something that no longer aligns with your growth, you stop becoming the man you were meant to be. You can't rise while clinging to what keeps you small. Let's talk about relationships for a second. There's a woman you once thought was the one. She was beautiful, you had chemistry. But over time she became inconsistent, disrespectful, or emotionally manipulative. Maybe she used your emotions against you. Maybe she played games. Maybe she made you feel like you were always the problem. Old you would have begged, chased, over-explained. New you walk. Not because you hate her, not because you stopped caring, but because you finally started caring more about yourself. And when a man chooses his peace over a pretty face, that's when he becomes unshakable. That's when women start to say, he's different. Because you're no longer driven by desire, you're guided by standards. Ancient wisdom, the warrior's discipline. In the Bhagavad Gita, the great warrior Arjuna is told by Krishna, It is better to live your own destiny imperfectly than to live an imitation of somebody else's life with perfection. Translation: stop staying in places where you don't belong just to fit in. Stop forcing yourself into a mold that isn't yours. Stop shrinking to make others comfortable. The true warrior does not fear walking alone. He fears wasting time in battles that don't belong to him. You were not born to be tolerated. You were born to lead, to grow, to stand, to become a foundation, not a follower of dysfunction. You don't get stronger by holding on. You get stronger by letting go. Let that sink in. Strength isn't found in how tightly you grip things that hurt you. It's found in the courage to release them. That woman who brings confusion more than clarity. That friend who mocks your growth. That environment that numbs your ambition, let it go. Because as soon as you let go, you create space. Space for something better. Something aligned. Something that actually serves your journey. Here's how you know you've evolved. You no longer negotiate with people who cross your boundaries. You no longer explain your worth. You no longer beg for love, attention, or support. You simply decide what is no longer acceptable, and you move accordingly. This doesn't make you cold, it makes you clear. Because men who don't have standards always end up living below their potential. Start living by this rule. If it costs you your peace, your focus, or your growth, it's too expensive. Here's the irony. The moment you walk away is the moment people finally start to respect you. Why? Because now they realize you were the prize. Not because you yelled it, but because you showed it through your actions. Women who thought you'd always be around. They feel the silence hit differently. People who drained you, they notice the distance, and suddenly they start checking their own behavior, because power doesn't beg, power doesn't explain, power walks. And that walk away, that's your declaration of self-worth. Walking away isn't just an action. It's a ritual of rebirth. It's saying to the world, I'm no longer available for anything beneath the man I'm becoming. You're no longer addicted to potential. You're aligned with reality. And the reality is this. When you start valuing your energy, when you stop apologizing for your standards, when you release the weight that's been slowing you down, you become the man no one can ignore. Not because you're loud, but because your silence, your self-control, and your standards speak volumes. Comment below, what's something or someone you had to walk away from to become stronger? Chapter 4, you lead yourself first, so others trust you naturally. A man who knows how to lead himself doesn't need to shout commands. He doesn't need to force anyone to follow him. He becomes the kind of man people naturally trust, women naturally respect, and other men naturally look up to, without ever asking for it. Why? Because he lives by principle, because he walks with direction, because he masters the hardest task of all, self-leadership. And this is one of the clearest, most brutal signs you're becoming the man women can't ignore. Not because you try to lead them, but because you've learned how to lead yourself. Let's be real. Most people can talk a big game. They say they want to be disciplined, respected, successful, fulfilled. But the moment life gets inconvenient, they fold. Self-leadership begins the moment you stop blaming and start owning. It's waking up early even when you feel tired. It's showing up to your workouts when no one's watching. It's telling the truth, even when a lie would be easier. It's keeping your word. To others, but especially to yourself. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you build a deeper trust with the most important person in your life. You. And here's the beautiful part. When a man trusts himself, everyone around him can feel it. Think of a man who enters the room and doesn't say much. But the way he moves, the way he listens, the way he stays composed when others panic. It makes people pay attention. He doesn't need to interrupt or demand space. His energy speaks first. Now imagine you become that man. You're at a gathering, a friend's venting about a problem. Everyone's giving surface-level advice. You just listen. You don't rush to speak. Why not? You wait, observe, then deliver one clear insight that cuts to the truth. Everyone goes quiet. Why? Because you've become the man who leads through clarity, not noise. Through presence, not performance. Through alignment, not attention. Marcus Aurelius, Roman emperor and master of Stoic philosophy, once wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be one." Read that again. Don't talk about being strong. Don't debate what masculinity is. Be it, live it, embody it. Marcus Aurelius led an empire, faced war, betrayal, plague, and yet his journals show a man who constantly asked himself, "Am I doing the work within?" Because true leadership isn't controlling others, it's controlling yourself. And the man who governs himself can lead any situation with calm, strength, and purpose. Lead yourself or be led by your impulses. Every day you are either being directed by your purpose or pulled by distraction. There is no neutral. When you lack self-leadership, you become a slave to your moods, your cravings, and your fears. But when you commit to mastering your emotions, disciplining your time, and protecting your energy, you become a king, not just in title, but in action. People start relying on you, not because you're loud, but because you're consistent. Women feel safe with you, not because you have all the answers, but because you remain calm while others collapse. Self-leadership is what separates the man who talks about being a rock from the man who is one. Here's a practice that will change your life. Stop only setting goals. Start setting standards. A goal is, I want to go to the gym 4 times this week. A standard is, I don't miss workouts, period. A goal is, I want to read more. A standard is, I read 10 pages a day, every day. No debate. When you live by standards, you no longer wait for motivation. You operate by principle. And over time, people start to feel your discipline, even if they can't explain it. That's when women look at you differently. That's when other men nod in quiet respect. That's when your life stops being random and starts being intentional. Let's be honest, women may flirt with many, but they follow the man who leads. And leadership doesn't mean you're barking orders or acting superior. It means you bring structure where there's chaos. It means you protect, not just physically, but emotionally and spiritually. It means you've built a life of discipline, and you're not afraid to walk alone if others can't match your pace. A woman with real value isn't looking for a clown to entertain her. She's looking for a man with depth, with direction, with presence, and nothing creates presence like self-leadership. At the end of the day, every man leaves a trail. Some leave chaos, excuses, and broken promises. Others leave legacy, order, and quiet strength. What separates them? Not money, not genetics, discipline. The man who leads himself first becomes the man others turn to, not because he's perfect, but because he's anchored. He knows where he's going. He lives by truth. He doesn't crumble under pressure. And when a woman sees that, she doesn't just notice him, she remembers him, because that kind of man is rare, and rare is irresistible. Comment below, what's one daily standard you've committed to that's changed your life?